Welcome to Cage Study. Today we are talking about the very long and surprisingly dull 1984 Coppola film, The Cotton Club. Usually in these Cage Study videos I talk about the movie itself first before I talk about Nick's role in it, but I just cannot with this one. It was so long, so full of jazz. Long movies where there is nothing to grab onto, and jazz are my two least favourite things in the world, so I was never going to like this film. But I wanted to, believe me. If you could have only heard my squeal of excitement when Tom Waits appeared on screen, if you were only there when Bob Hoskins showed up and I sat up in my chair and said, "Finally, here we go," you would know that I was in this for the long haul. But neither of those characters do much in this film. The film itself does not do much. And what the hell did Hollywood ever see in Richard Gere? The man has no presence. He is so white. He is so boring, and he's playing this character who is just falling ass backwards into a ton of success and seems to be bummed about that. I mean, let's just go over this briefly so you know why I'm annoyed. So Gere plays this guy Dixie, who's a trumpet player. A mob dude called Dutch wants him to play trumpet for him. Somehow along the way, Dixie becomes a movie star. I don't know. Apparently, there's an even longer cut of this that Coppola made because the original was shortened when the studio said there was too much of the side plot about the African American musicians and entertainers who worked at the Cotton Club but weren't even allowed to use the front door. No, we're not getting into history. We're not getting into the movie. Let's just talk about Nick Cage. This is Nick Cage's biggest budget film appearance in the timeline so far, and the second time he's worked under the direction of Francis Ford Coppola. Still, it's not a big part for him, though. He's not in the movie a lot, although his character is Dixie's brother, so is kind of pivotal. His character Vincent gets involved in this gang rivalry, which turns out to be the least interesting part of this movie. This may be the worst gangster movie I've ever seen, and he's playing Irish as well. Nick Cage, born Nicola Kim Coppola, is playing Irish. He's playing an Irish guy. Boggles. But anyway, things escalate with the gang rivalry. There's a botched hit. He shoots up some kids, and Dixie is left with the task of having to turn him over to the mobster he plays trumpet for. Yada, yada, yada. I don't want to talk about this movie. I just want to talk about Nick Cage. I just want to cut right to the chase here. Let's get to the 3 points of the Cage Study program, yeah? Is it a good film? No. I'm sorry, it's not. No. I'm not a Godfather guy personally, but even I can see what made The Godfather a good film. I don't see anything to like in this. It's not that it's like shot poorly or even acted poorly. It's just there's nothing here, man. So long, so dull. Just give me something. Give me one person to gravitate towards, to get behind something. You just didn't do it, movie. Is it a good, bad film? It would be if it weren't so fucking long. This is one of those films where the IMDb trivia is more interesting than the film itself. Apparently, Gere wanted more scenes of him playing trumpet in the film, but Coppola had to find ways to reject that idea because he was not the hotshot trumpet player he thought he was. Or the actor that anyone thought he was at the time, if you ask me. But anyway, is it a good Nick Cage film? Not really. Again, there's nothing for him to grab onto here, and there's nothing for the audience to grab onto here, and there's really nothing in that character for Nick Cage to grab onto either. He's kind of subdued for the whole thing. If anything, he's less interesting when he becomes a gangster, and then there's more shine to him. There's more potential to things that character could do, and places Nick Cage could take it before he becomes a mobster. But that's not the road this movie took. I mean, I think it's based on real life, so there wasn't much they could do about that, apart from make the movie a bit shorter and a bit more fucking entertaining. But hey ho. That's got to be the end of this video. It's got to be. I'm sorry that these Cage videos are getting shorter than when I started making them, but I'm getting old. I don't want to spend my golden years taking hours to put together videos of movies I could barely sit through. Maybe next time we'll get a good film and we can talk more about the film than Cage. Oh, actually, just looking at the Umdaba here, Birdie's the next film, so that's good. I've seen Birdie before. Some weird stuff in there, some weird sexual stuff, so there's got to be a topic of conversation to be had there. Speaking of weird sexual stuff, check out my other YouTube videos. Not that there is any weird sexual stuff in there, that's just a segue / plea for you to like and subscribe so that I know these hours spent watching bad movies, sitting in hot rooms, editing videos I'm pretty sure no one sees, are not wasted.